Hey everyone, couple quick notes before we get into this week's episode. First off, happy Valentine's Day. Share a special drink with somebody that you love or have some mild feelings for. It's Valentine's Day. Secondly, this is a really fun and interesting episode that we did, that I did really, with Justin of Justin's House of Bourbon. Well, one of the Justins. The shop is located in Lexington. We're going to get into all of that. We changed things up just a little bit in terms of format since it was just me. And we were drinking something special, so I wanted you to learn about that later on. I wanted to give you a heads up. And I will be back with you at the tail end of the episode, but until then, enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast, the official podcast of This Is My Bourbon Shop, where we talk about the spirit of Kentucky. My name is Perry. Thank you all so much for being here with me this week. And I got a very special guest sitting in with me. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Justin Thompson, right? Thompson's your last name?
That's correct.
Okay, good. Justin is half of the owners of, one half of the, I don't know the right way to phrase that, but one half of the partnership that has just opened, Justin's House of Bourbon, here in downtown Lexington. It's Kentucky's first vintage bourbon shop, correct?
We believe so. The gentleman up in northern Kentucky, Ed Bly and Co. up at Cork and Bottle, I believe, got the jump on us. And they do have a vintage selection as well, and are doing some tastings also. But we feel like this, with our selection, almost half of the selection we have in here is vintage stuff, and we're real excited to showcase this collection and hopefully sell some to some folks. And we're also in the market to look at and possibly purchase more bottles if folks want to let some things go.
Cool. That is, I think, one of the coolest things about this is not only are you selling your vintage collection, but you're also giving other people the opportunity to come in and sell theirs to y'all as well. I think that's going to be a really nice way to see, where this market's at right now and see it grow.
Sure.
Even a little bit too.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think, a lot of interest in the bourbon world. I mean, you can call it collecting, you can call it hoarding, you can call it flipping, or whatever you want to call it there. But we're shying away right now from any of the releases that maybe have come out the last 12 to 24 months, and really focusing on things that are at least 10 years old or older. And the girth of our collections probably is coming from the 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. And but we touch on almost every decade from the last 100 years, and we're looking to definitely find some unique bottles and
sure, and
have folks come in and ask for unique things, and if we don't have it, maybe we can find it for them in a future date there. And
right.
But it's been a fun project. We've had one full day of operation now, so. That one day we were open, folks seemed to enjoy themselves and ask a lot of questions and bring some fun bottles in here, and we were able to add to our collection a little bit there. So it's been a fun venture for the moment.
Sure. So I know that people are going to be wondering, as I am too, what is the oldest bottle that you have up for sale right now?
Well, the oldest bottle that we currently have showcased is an old granddad that was bottled in 1913. So,
man, jeez,
it's a great bottle. It's got the labeling on it's great. The patina on it's perfect. The juice inside seems to be pretty dark and not that cloudy. And believe it or not, doesn't appear to be too much evaporation. So the cork is doing his job there. So it's just a great piece. It'd be most folks, it would be close to the centerpiece of their collection there. So, we were excited when we got our hands on it, and now we're excited for someone else to get their hands on it.
Definitely, yeah. Well, speaking of Old Granddad, we are sitting in front of a couple pours of an Old Granddad's 86 proof. When is this bottle from?
This one was bottled in 1984, and it's for folks that maybe just been in bourbon for the last 6 months or year or something like that. They've probably gotten their fill of some of the recent releases, which are very good. Your birthday bourbons and some of your pappies and things of that nature. That the people when they first get into they flock towards. But we want to remind folks that there was some great whiskey that was made in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and those periods were not great periods for the industry. So
sure,
there's but it was great whiskey. This particular line of this Dusty here, this Old Granddad, from the 80s is usually very, very palatable and very aromatic and just kind of a just really solid pour whiskey there. If you're into this this brand 5 or 6 years ago from this era, I mean, you could easily find these bottles for $50, $100,
sure,
something like that, or maybe even less. I mean, a lot of folks are just thinking, oh, well, Old Granddad, that's not the sexiest label today. I mean, some folks, really might know the 114 and
yeah, for sure.
But it's we've just been finding that these Old Granddads from the 80s, 70s, and 60s are just really, really good drinkers, and folks should really be on the lookout for these, and should add something. They're a little more expensive right now, but we're going to be opening a few things like this and offering samples.
Yeah.
Eventually to folks when they come and visit. A $500 bottle of bourbon or $1,000 bottle of bourbon might not be for everyone, but they still might want a unique experience and pay a little bit just to try it and open their eyes to it. And after they try it, they might say, "Wow, that is that's just as," or "I enjoy that just as much as my Pappy 15," or
sure,
or that's Willet that I was hunting down. So we're hoping after they actually try these. Some of these older bottles that they have more confidence in what they're purchasing, or might turn them on to something else to start hunting for.
Yeah. Well, I'll say right off the bat, before even taking a sip of it, the nose is very, it's much more aromatic, I think, than a lot of the Old Granddads that are out right now. Before even sipping it, I'm not smelling a whole lot of like the nuttiness that I'm familiar with Old Granddad, but I'm curious to see what this is like.
We're drinking out from a half gallon, and we opened this a couple of days ago, and as you can see, we're almost at the very bottom. So we weren't exactly, we weren't pouring this. Like I said, we don't have we're not set up yet to do the official samples here in the store, but we've been doing a little research after hours here, and we're getting to the end of this bottle, but it was a good find, and it's a great pour. It's a solid bourbon, and it's just fun now to when you sit down and have those bi-monthly or even annual tastings when you get together with your buddies and everybody's bringing in bottles.
Definitely,
it's always fun to bring something old and something no one's tried, and surprise them with what the great juice they were making back then.
Sure, yeah. This is fantastic. I mean, it's funny, I was saying, there wasn't a whole lot of the nuttiness on the nose, but it's very prominent on the palate. There's some, like, swirling hints of caramel in there, too, that don't, like, linger for too long, but kind of remind you that that's supposed to be there. And
Sure. For an 86, I mean, it's pretty well balanced there for 86 proof.
Absolutely.
This is anyway. We're excited to open up more of these older bottles and share them with folks. And,
sure. Yeah.
And then, like I said, hopefully they'll like it enough where they'll want to buy a bottle and take it home and share with other folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I like to do as we get the show kicked off is ask what we've been drinking recently. So, Justin, what you been drinking on recently, other than this old granddad, of course?
Well, shoot. I try to remind myself every now and then what other, staple brands taste like. I mean, normally I like to stay within something that costs about $30 to $40 on the shelf. So, I mean, with how popular bourbon is right now, I mean, it might not be the sexiest brands for some folks, but I mean, it's still great to grab your Four Roses, small batch, or even grab some Woodford or Maker's Mark. I mean, for what you're paying there, I think you're still getting a great value. But really, if I am running out and buying something or getting a gift for someone, or I want to go on a trip and have something to sip on, I do try to find the barrel picks that retailers do. I mean, most folks, I guess I listen to this, are pretty aware of what barrel picks are, but just in case or not, that's when the retailer or the bar gets to try a few different single barrels, and they choose the one they think is best. And the distilleries normally try to roll out some of their quote-unquote honey barrels for them to choose already, or some of the ones they think stand out. But one I've been getting on a little bit, I mean, the Knob Creek barrel picks, they've been getting some kind of older barrels out there in the markets.
Yeah.
A couple last year they released were almost 15 years old. I want to say one of the ones I was a part of helping select was 14 years and 11 months. So
Man.
I think there were 2 or 3 other folks that got that same batch there or from that same barreling date. But and sometimes older is not better. I mean, when I do a barrel pick, I tell them not to disclose the year or anything like that. Let's just try them and see what's best. But we've got one here in the store now that's a 13-year-old Knob Creek pick, and it's really good.
It's really good. Yeah,
and they bottle that 120 proof, and I'm kind of a higher proof guy, and
for sure.
So I'm pretty happy with the Knob Creek barrel picks that are coming out right now, especially the ones that are 12 years or older. They seem to really not get too oaky on you, and have been some real good picks there.
Yeah. What did the Knob Creek pick come off at proof wise?
I can't remember exactly. I mean, they bottle all those at 120.
Yeah.
So I believe most of the time they're very similar to the Russell's Reserve picks. Russell Reserve, I think you're usually trying something between 113 and 115, and they take it, quote-unquote, down to 110 for you. So I believe that most of the Knob Creeks are just above 120. I mean, I don't think they're any higher than 128. So they're still, what you're trying is almost exactly what you're going to get in the bottle. I mean, they bring it down to 120, which is not a whole lot, and probably even opens it up just a little bit more, which, I find desirable. I'm fine with that. So,
yeah.
But it's, like I said, Knob Creek right now is putting out some good stuff, and I think the Wild Turkey picks are always very good as well.
For sure.
The good thing about those, usually Wild Turkey allows you several barrels to choose from, which a lot of picks you're picking between 3 to 5, and almost every Wild Turkey I've done has been at least 10 barrels or more to source through. So it's that's always fun, and you have to be ready. You have to take your time and not get too much palate fatigue there. But normally you don't have to go through all what they have for you to select there. I mean, but Wild Turkey is very generous to allow you to try several different barrels to find the one that you really like or the flavor you're really going for. So it's those are always really good picks as well.
Good. Well, to kind of jump off of the Knob Creek pick, when I was here on Saturday, the day that you all had your big grand opening, I actually picked up one of those and then went across town to another store in Lexington known as Ernie's Spirits, where I found out that they also had a Knob Creek 13-year pick that you and your brother Seth, you guys, is it just you, or is it just Seth, or is it the both of y'all that work on the Bourbon Review?
There are four main partners there at the Bourbon Review. My younger brother Seth, the other Justin Sloan, he's a partner as well.
That's what I called him when I pulled into the driveway, by the way, or into the parking lot. By the way, I was like, "You're other Justin."
So, and then the fourth partner on the Bourbon Review is Bobby Eidson. So there's four of us there, and three of us have been doing it now for almost 10 years. And Sloan came on board, I think, almost 3 years ago, and so the just for the retail shop here, it's just the two Justins doing it.
For sure. Well, I had gone over to Ernie's and found that they also had a Knob Creek pick that was.
Ernie's,
and that y'all helped pick that.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I mean, it's fun to do that stuff. I mean, he's, anytime you do a barrel pick, it's always good to, I guess, have a few folks in there that are drinkers, and we are for sure.
Yeah.
So, Kevin Durham, who runs that store, has been a friend for a while, and I guess that's the great thing. I mean, everyone's hunting, and it's great to find these limited edition things that most of the time they hold up, and if you get a halfway decent price on them, you're getting your money's worth.
Definitely.
But these barrel picks, I mean, we're selling a 13-year-old bourbon right now for, just under $55, and I mean that's what a lot of folks are bottling up and selling for a lot more under different brands or different limited releases, and it's really all the brands that do them. Buffalo Trace has some great ones. Four Roses has some great ones. I mean, that is where I try to invest my money, encourage other folks to, if they're really looking for something that's unique, or someone's saying, hey, what's that one thing I can't get anywhere else? Well, a lot of times those barrel picks have their unique thumbprint on flavor and just really don't disappoint.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I really like to ask when we have new folks on the show is the question of how you got into bourbon. And I think this is going to be a really interesting one for you, especially because, the whole store is basically your experience with bourbon. So not only, are you going to be able to hear Justin's take on his history with our favorite spirit, but also if you want a visual history, I highly encourage you to come into the store. But I'm going to let you take over for a few minutes and talk about your bourbon journey. Yeah,
I wouldn't call it a total representation of my bourbon journey because there's no Coke in here, so as in Coca-Cola. So, but I kind of got into bourbon in college. There, it was sociable thing. Went to the University of Kentucky, and when you went to a fraternity party or a house party or went out to Keeneland or whatever, that seemed like the thing everybody was drinking was, bourbon and Coke there. So, that's what kind of got me involved in it. And I think it was right before I graduated or maybe even right afterwards. I noticed my younger brother was actually drinking bourbon without Coke and drinking on the rocks and with a little bit of water. And he was a younger brother, so I was like, I can't let this guy outdo me. So I kind of started, drinking it, a little bit on the rocks, a little bit with water, and that helped me kind of groom my palate a little bit there, and then so bourbon started becoming my drink of choice when I would go out, and seems like there wasn't a weekend where we didn't try to go out and get into some kind of action there. So it's definitely supporting a lot of different brands and things I can afford, and this would have been the early to mid 2000s. So bourbon was just now starting to kind of find its place and get on the radar of consumers, and and distilleries started to kind of hone in on their visitor experiences, and started to try to court more folks to come to bourbon country and do the bourbon trail and things like that. So I pioneered, went on through my 20s there, and we kind of wanted to get into a business that we could get, start something, become entrepreneurs, and we just kind of saw where this bourbon thing was starting to take off a little bit, and we started to notice a few TV commercials about bourbon country. They were telling folks to come to Kentucky. And we did see the similarities between that and the wine regions of California, Napa and the San Ynez region around Santa Barbara there. So we went out and visited those places and kind of checked those out and saw where maybe this tourism thing would catch on, and that's when we decided to do the Bourbon Review magazine and launched that in the summer of 2008, and just been really involved with. We went in with the notion that we didn't know it all by any means. We try to get the voices to educate us and to try to contribute to us early on that what bourbon was about. Definitely try to educate folks about the area, and we're all proud Kentuckians, born and raised here, and so we want to do something that showcase the Commonwealth and the industry appropriately. So just got, once we started the Bourbon Review, it was no looking back as far as getting involved with bourbon and learning obviously a lot more about it and being around some of those great personalities and distillers and things like that. So the last 10 years, it's been a little more of a dedication, but it's been good. So that's kind of how I got started in it and got interested in it, and what brought us here today with the House of Bourbon.
Cool.
So,
now, how many times a year does the Bourbon Review come out?
It's a quarterly print publication, but we do have a pretty good digital following on our social media and our email list and things like that. So, we do a lot of current things through those mediums, and we still have the print publication as well. So, it's a pretty good gift, and it does, every, 4 times a year, folks do get our prints and get all the good updates that we do include on our social media and our e-newsletter as well.
So have you found that releasing the magazine quarterly lends itself better to the bourbon market than, say, like every month or weekly or bi-weekly or
Yes and no. It's
because that's a lot of news that could come out in between
sure
issues.
It's just obviously there's a lot of attention is being given to digital capacity for those type of reasons. Folks release something and it's the big news for the day, or maybe even if they're lucky, a few days there. So, it's if we could print it, if there was demand for it to be a daily publication or bi-weekly or monthly or something like that, we definitely would do it. And but right now we're with, honestly, not having much experience in publishing when we started, and our goal was to start out 4 times a year and potentially move to 6 times a year, make it bi-monthly. But the quarter for print right now, that's a good place to be. We didn't overextend ourselves, so a lot of folks always ask us, "Hey, I didn't get my issue this month," and it's like, there's only 4 of them. So I appreciate that. There, the anticipation and people still seem to really enjoy getting it in the mail there, and we're happy to do it. But things are changing, and we're trying to evolve and to balance both print publication with a digital presence. So
sure, yeah. So, as we've kind of touched on before, we're sitting in Justin's House of Bourbon, which is a vintage bourbon shop. And I'm curious how you got into collecting vintage bourbon, because so many people will buy 2 or 3 bottles of a Dusty and then call it quits. But this is, you kind of look at it, and in the best sense of the way, you go, this is a great obsession to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's still to be tested there, but I mean this it's been a fun hobby, and I think a lot of there's just something in the human DNA that says to hoard and collect things, and whether it's motorcycles or food or booze or whatever it is, folks just, I think it's somewhere in our brains that we need to stock up on things. So, just obviously being involved with bourbon this long, I was eventually, I guess, going to be curious about some older stuff, and been lucky enough to meet some folks that had some excess product or some things they didn't want or whatever there, and I've always said, like, if you gave someone an honest offer on something, then the best thing, the best thing for myself and the other part of Justin Sloan is, folks refer you to other people when they see they have older stuff or old whiskey or whatever. So it's not about trying to have one transaction with somebody. It's trying to build a relationship and do more or get them to recommend you to somebody else. So, I mean, we not only have the bottles, which the bottles are what everyone's really excited about, I guess. We have some memorabilia in here as well that, still covers almost every decade as well. We've got stuff from the early 1900s all the way up to the 60s and 70s and in between there. So I think that's where, I think it's where everyone hopes to be at is I mean, they can still find their birthday bourbons, they can still find their B-Tax and things like that. But, eventually I think everyone will probably want a couple older bottles in their collection and maybe even have a few old signage or some memorabilia there to put amongst their bar or, whatever there. So, we're trying to find some fun pieces that people haven't seen or maybe fall into a brand that they really have a passion for and hopefully they buy it.
Sure, yeah. So I'm going to ask specifically about one of the memorabilia pieces that you have. This Four Roses piece that's sitting above what is supposed to be the fireplace in this old building. Tell me a little bit about the story behind this.
That's just actually a piece that we found on eBay, I believe, and it's it's very colorful, but it's what used to be it's actually, there was a Four Roses pinball machine, and that is actually the kind of the front or the back display, I guess, of the pinball machine, and it's got great color on it. It's believed to be from the 1940s, so I mean, Four Roses did a lot of. It was kind of a big brand after the war there, and 40s and 50s treated the brand very well.
Definitely.
Until Seagram's bought them and ended up phasing out the straight bourbon here in the United States and turned into blended whiskey. But anyway, that was it's a pretty fun piece there, and we had never seen it, so we thought we'd pick it up, and maybe there's a big Four Roses fanatic out there that'll like to have it. So
yeah, it's really cool. I like the I kind of always I enjoy the story behind bourbon and bourbon memorabilia just as much as I do the consumption of it. So thank you for sharing some of those stories. And I have to ask too, what's your favorite bourbon that you have on display here at the shop?
I'm not sure.
If you can pick.
Like I said, I think that old Grandad from 1913, 1913.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty special. We have some of the few single barrel Pappy 23s that were done in 2007, non-chill filtered. Those are pretty special. We've got some. We're getting close to getting a vertical of the very old Fitz's 12 years. Excuse me, the very old Fitz's, I guess. 12-year-old Ballings. So we've got those from, the kind of the 3 decades they put those out there. So. It's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like asking a mother who's got
which is your
a
favorite
boatload
child?
of kids, who her favorite child is. She might have one or two she's not really impressed with, but for the most part, she likes most of them there. So, we've got they're all special, I guess, in their own way there, and we look forward to. Some of them find a new home, and some of them we're opening up and sharing with folks, and just hopefully it's something that people will be interested in, and we'll see what happens there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I look forward to the opening portion of these bottles as well, because I will definitely be returning to test those out. So I think we're going to move into. What we normally do, the review portion of the episode. And we're going to be reviewing what... I brought this bottle in. It's an Old Forester 86 proof. I think it's from 95. And I'm going to let the expert himself see if he can discern when it's from. And the problem with it is that there's nothing marked on the very bottom of the bottle where you would normally find the year. But there's some underneath the back label. And I'm wondering if you can lead me in the right direction.
I mean, it looks like it. I mean, it's, like you said, here on the side, there's a very easy to read 95. I mean, it's got a screw top on it. I mean, it's not terribly old, but definitely has a little age on it there. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I've enjoyed this. I actually got this secondhand from a friend, and I've enjoyed this so far. But do you need to wash your glass?
Nah, we'll get. I'll take it down. We'll see what we have here.
Sure, yeah. I usually have a review system on the show of nose, palate, finish, and price, but we don't really have a price on this since I got it secondhand. So we're just going to bypass the actual numerating review, and I think we're just going to talk some about what we think about it. And right off the bat, the nose is very floral with a little bit of the nuttiness,
yeah,
too.
It's solid. I mean, I wouldn't guess it was 86 proof. I mean, there's, sometimes the lower proofs you don't get much out of the nose, but this one's got something there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit of burn on the back end, but not a whole lot. It's very smooth.
Yeah, I didn't. Burn wasn't what I was thinking, but I thought it went down very well.
Yeah.
It's. I get this. It's very solid. I mean, it's got some chocolate in it. The finish is. It's there. It's not too long,
No.
but you can definitely get it. It lingers for just a couple, seconds there. And I don't think it's harsh at all on the finish.
No.
It's yeah. I mean, I could sit there and do some damage on this ball for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of it too. It's for it having been open 20-ish years, 22 years, almost 23. I mean, it's not really. It doesn't seem like it's been.
Yeah. It
Over
says here that
anything.
it's 4 years old, so
Yeah.
It's I think that coming in 86 proof is probably right where it needs to be, but it's a good. That's a solid pour right there. I mean, it's Ofo's always been always get good bang for your buck there. So
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I could sit there and enjoy this one for a while.
For sure. Going back to the finish a little bit, I do like that. Well, like we said, the finish isn't super long, but I do like when a finish cuts you off a little bit because it does make you want to go back for another sip and re-enjoy it. But I don't really have any complaints about it. I'll be be very honest with you.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
For sure. So Justin, thank you so much for being on the show with us. If people want to find you, how would they be able to get in touch with you, or where is the store located? And/or, I guess.
Yeah, we're downtown Lexington, and one of the few places that sell spirits by the bottle here. I mean, there's a few other stores, but we're on the corner of Jefferson and Main Streets, just a few blocks down from Rupp Arena, off of Main, towards the west side, I guess, or going towards Louisville there. So we're at 601 West Main Street, and we do have a website up, and so folks can look us up there, and Justin's House of Bourbon, and we've got an email set up if people have questions or are curious about if we have a particular bottle, or if they're potentially interested in selling us something, then they can email us and maybe send some pictures or send some questions about potentially what they're looking for there, and we'll try to answer them, and hopefully we'll be able to make something happen one way or the other.
Very cool. If you want to reach the show, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at My Bourbon Shop. This is My Bourbon Shop on Facebook. You can also head to bourbonshop.threadless.com if you want to check out some of our merch there. Become a patron of the show at patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. You can also use the hashtag This is My Bourbon Podcast on Instagram and Twitter if you have questions or comments or anything for us. You can also email us, thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. Please leave us a rate and review on iTunes. We really appreciate it when you do that for us. Tell your friends about the show, as always. We're still kind of finding our feet and everything. Justin, I want to say thank you again for having me on the show. That's not what I wanted to say. For coming on the show and and talking about the store.
No worries. Yeah. Appreciate it. Like I said, we're excited to showcase what we have here. We've already got a few calls, people asking if it costs any money to come and see the collection. Obviously, there's no charge there, no arm twisting. We have more than just antique bourbon. We have most of what is available everywhere else. So
they also have an ambulance going by.
Someone, I've had a few too many bourbons there, but. No, we have. We don't just do the vintage stuff. Like I said, we've got everyone's other favorite labels and some other barrel picks that we'll have working their way into the store over time. And so, I mean, if you're a fan of bourbon, I think we got something unique here, and we'd love for you to come in and check it out.
Definitely. Hey, that was a lot of fun. I wanted to tack on my tips and bits for this week since I didn't do it with Justin. So I am going to recommend, as always, well, not as always, but, leading up to the movie, Strangers Pray at Night, which is going to be the sequel to the original Strangers film. My sister-in-law, Emma, is going to be playing Dollface in it. I have to keep promoting that until the movie comes out, and even some after that. And then the other one that I'm going to recommend is The Good Place. If you've not been watching The Good Place on NBC, they just wrapped up season 2. Season 1's available on Netflix in the U.S. I know that in some other countries, as the episodes come out, they're releasing them on Netflix. So I definitely recommend going and checking that show out. It's been maybe my favorite show that's been on TV this season. So yeah, that's my short little tips and bits for this week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate it. This was a super different and informative episode that we got to do with Justin of Justin's House of Bourbon. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you again next week. We're going to have Tanner and Curtis back on. Probably I think we're going to be doing an episode where we talk about what we like to order at bars and restaurants. So be on the lookout for that. Until then, have a happy Valentine's Day. And I'm Perry, and this is my Bourbon Podcast.